because it is the food.
And the food, especially the abundance of cheap processed sugar-laden products, is a direct result of government policy. Mainly, the United States Department of Agriculture. The USDA was initially created to help farmers thrive by promoting their products. But in the aftermath of the McGovern report, the USDA inherited dietary guidelines as well.
When obesity became a problem, the Department of Agriculture was put into conflict of interest because on the one hand, it was telling people to eat less in order to prevent obesity, and on the other hand, it was telling people to eat more to promote consumption of American agricultural products.
It can't do a good job of both. And because of lobbying dollars and where the money really is, it's doing a much better job of promoting U.S. agriculture than it is in teaching us and helping us how to eat well.
One clear example of this conflict is the curious case of cheese. Remember back in the 1980s when the food industry began taking out the fat from its products after the McGovern report?
Women and girls especially became a little bit more health conscious and started drinking skim milk. Did you ever stop to think what happened to the fat in the milk when it became skim?
Well, one way to make use of milk fat is to turn it into cheese. As the demand for low-fat milk increased over the years, the government found itself with a lot of cheese they didn't know what to do with.
Instead of pushing the dairy industry to cut back on the production, Washington came up with this other idea. Why don't we help the industry sell more cheese by getting people to eat more cheese?
Cheese, glorious cheese. Tastes mighty inviting. Cheese, glorious cheese. It's so tantalizing.
Dairy management was created in 1995 to act as a marketing arm of the dairy industry.
Financed by the farmers with oversight by the USDA, dairy management helped flood the marketplace with good-looking cheese.
Now walk into the dairy aisle and the cheese section is bulging with packages of cheese shredded, cubed, diced, grated, made as simple as possible for adding to other foods. Some of the things that dairy management did to encourage the consumption of cheese were so clever that the USDA actually bragged on them in its annual reports to Congress. In 2007, for example, it noted how the industry was able to sell 30 million more pounds by designing things like Pizza Hut's Cheesy Bites Pizza, Wendy's Dual Double Melt Sandwich concept, and Burger King's Cheesy Angus Bacon Cheeseburger. So at the same time the Agriculture Department is promoting the consumption of cheese, its small unit charged with protecting consumers and fighting obesity puts out these little brochures that encourage people to eat less cheese.
If the USDA really wants to increase cheese consumption and promote a healthy lifestyle, here's an easy solution. Cheesercise. Just grab a set of Baby Bells and really work those goods.
The problem is, it's not just cheese. This conflict between public health and promoting agriculture plays out across the board. The USDA says to limit your sugar intake, yet has provided over $8 billion in subsidies for corn-based sweeteners since 1995.
It's fair to say that the government is subsidizing the obesity epidemic inadvertently through its subsidies of corn, which gets turned into high fructose corn syrup and all those weird ingredients that you see in processed food, the maltodextrin, the xanthan gum, all those words you can't pronounce. So you have the government in this crazy schizophrenic situation where on the one hand, they're subsidizing precisely the foods that are making us sick, and then on the other, are now on the hook to set the standards for school lunch with our kids.
chili cheese fries, nachos, fried chicken, all these fattening and greasy foods are just clogging up our schools. School, we're supposed to be healthy. My school has nachos every day for school, and 3/4 of our students in high school choose nachos.
I make bad decisions when I'm at school, at lunchtime, at breakfast time, because really no other choice. Either you eat or you starve. Today at lunch we had hamburgers, or you either had a chance to get a cheeseburger or a sloppy Joe. Neither one of them was really that healthy.
Other options that they had were this place called the Student Store. They have a daily special. Like Monday is Papa John's Pizza. Tuesday is Chick-fil-A. Wednesday is Arby's. Thursday is Pizza Hut. And Friday is McDonald's. And then this is the slushie machine that they have.
The school lunch program has evolved in such a way that it really is serving the food processors much more than it is serving the students.
The government got in the school lunch business after World War II. 1946, President Harry Truman signed the National School Lunch Act after a huge number of military recruits were rejected because of malnutrition.
On February 18th, I will present in detail an economic program to Congress reducing the growth in government spending to reduce unemployment.
In 1981, President Ronald Reagan, looking to limit the role of government, cut $1.46 billion out of the child nutrition budget.
It will propose budget cuts in virtually every department of government.
Many schools got rid of their cooking equipment and turned to the food industry to make lunch cheap and simple. Kid-friendly favorites that could be heated and served. In 2006, 80% of all high schools operated under exclusive contracts with soda companies. And by 2012, more than half of all U.S. school districts served fast food.
The food industry infiltration of the schools is deplorable. The schools have become dependent on the money, and it's a bargain with the devil. Some schools have become like a 7-Eleven with books.
We are thrilled to be here with all of you as I sign the Healthy, Hungry-Free Kids Act, a bill that's vitally important to the health and welfare of our kids.
In 2010, President Barack Obama signed the bill authorizing the USDA to come up with new standards for the federally funded school lunch program in an effort to make it healthier.
This had the effect of possibly eliminating pizza from school. Well, Schwann Company in Minnesota is a $3 billion private company which accounts for 70% of the pizza market in the U.S. school lunches. They could not have pizza eliminated from school. So their senator in Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar, wrote a letter to the Department of Agriculture to protect their frozen pizzas in school lunches. It had kind of a complicated process where the effect was to count a slice of pizza as a vegetable.
It's common sense. It's not a vegetable. What's next? Are Twinkies going to be considered a vegetable? Rather than having a deliberative effort, we have special interests inserting these provisions into these bills contrary to the public health.
In terms of the pizza issue, we proposed a set of guidelines, and Congress essentially suggested that they wanted a slightly different approach.
Was that frustrating for you?
Well, it's a little frustrating, sure. But, you know, at the end of the day...
Tomato paste is a vegetable?
Well,
really?
Not in my household, but you know, I mean, somebody could probably make the scientific argument that it is, but it's not how I perceive a vegetable.
By 2012, the revised regulations were issued. The USDA increased the lunch budget for the first time in 30 years by 6 cents, set a new maximum on calories, and doubled the required amounts of fruits and vegetables, which still includes French fries and pizza.
It doesn't look like the lunch is having